Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Blank and Dinner. In this episode, we're going to talk about the two hottest men in politics and what they have in common. Piers Morgan. Now he's attacking people with mental health issues. All this and more coming up right now.
Well, Theresa May tried to, pull off one of her really staged PR stunts again, because obviously, as you discussed before, everything she does is staged and not natural. So anyways, they organized for her to walk from door to door and try to convince people voting for the Conservative Party. She was with the local candidate, walking from door to door, knocking on the door. Guess what? Nobody opened the door. And everything was recorded, and it's going viral on YouTube. How she runs from door to door, knocking, not opening, and then she will say, let's put a flyer through the door, and then they go through the next door, and it happens again and again and again, and you can just see how she gets more and more agitated. And after 5 minutes, the entire PR stunt failed. It's over. She hops in the car and off she drives. But unfortunately, somebody else filmed it, and it's all on YouTube.
I think, she, I said this before, I find it very sort of worrying. She's wanting to almost censor the media and control what they see and what, how they present her. I mean, what does she not want us to see? It's that. I think she's afraid of, people seeing that things don't work out quite right.
I just think she's an inflexible leader, and because she has to control every single situation. And this is why, I find it actually funny that she is afraid of, and I think she is actually afraid of being in the televised debate with Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, now she's agreed to do a back-to-back, so she won't do a head-to-head with him, but she'll do a back-to-back interview with him. So she's agreed to that now.
Yesterday I listened to this really interesting debate on BBC4 about that, and it was a lot around whether it's a general election where we're actually electing a party, or whether it's around the leader. And I think it's about both. And for people to judge whether somebody is a big leader, they want them to see them debating, especially with the opposition.
That is true. She likes to script her things. She doesn't ever want to say the wrong thing or to not know what's coming, does she? So she did a debate, and she made all the reporters and all the people submit their questions beforehand, so that obviously she could craft a response, and her people and her with her craft a response, rather than just being able to respond to questions as they come up. She obviously doesn't like that. She likes to be totally in control all the time.
That's not authentic, and I actually don't think that will work. I think because it comes across scripted.
Yeah, but they say it is working. This is the thing, is that, they're up in the polls.
But they're up in the polls because Jeremy Corbyn is doing so badly with Labour. I think it's actually not about her doing something amazing or the Conservatives doing something amazing. They're just amazingly lucky with their opposition.
So I'd like to turn the topic to something a little bit more saucy.
All right, what are we talking about?
Well, let's see if you can guess. The two hottest men in politics, one of them is European, and the other, okay, this is going to give it away. The other one is Canadian.
All right, and both are active in politics, so
yes.
We need to talk about...
And they're good looking.
All right, so obviously Justin Trudeau. And then, do you really think Emmanuel Macron is good looking?
Yes. Well, he's been, all through his campaign, right? He's been sort of labelled as the French Justin Trudeau. I think, looks-wise, Justin probably has the one up there.
But he's the older one, did you know?
Yeah, he's the oldest, isn't he?
Yes, indeed. By 6 years older.
Yeah.
39, 45.
Yeah. Justin is 6'2".
Yeah.
And Emmanuel is only 5'9". Apart from the good looks, what do they have in common, really?
Well, I think
in reality,
the obvious thing most people typically point out that they are both amongst the youngest presidents or prime minister ever serving in those countries, but they're also both very, very liberal in terms of their politics.
That is true. They're both very staunch supporters of LGBT rights.
They're very true.
Yes. In Macron's manifesto, he dedicated a whole section to LGBT issues. And a big part of that was around naming and shaming employers who were anti-LGBT. Justin Trudeau, again, on the other hand, the first head of government to march in Gay Pride.
Yes.
And he looked like he was enjoying himself very, very much. And, he made some really strong statements about, having to speak out whenever there's intolerance or discrimination. So on the issue of LGBT rights, they both get a massive tick there. So I guess, that's one big similarity between them.
I think, for me, the two of them are just also part of that totally new generation of, of politicians or leaders, like Obama, for example, with a very different stance on things, very, liberal in the sense of a word, and, trying to, have a much more inclusive policy. And I really think somebody like this is missing in that election in the UK.
Jeremy Corbyn is, the closest thing we have to an Emmanuel Macron or Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, see, I actually don't really agree, because for me he is just your very standard, extremely left-wing politician, and nothing new. You could have found people like him 20 years ago already, and Theresa May is just your very standard conservative politician again, and I think the only diverse thing she has standing for her is her gender.
Yeah, and the thing about Theresa May, let's not get started on her.
No.
Because, as you know, I've got quite a few points on her. But, going back to our two gentlemen friends, in terms of their commonalities, we've got gay rights tick, very liberal tick.
Then I think they're very much in terms of a global inclusive politics, because remember Macron very vividly, a campaign for Europe.
Yes.
And obviously Trudeau is also somebody who's very much around
inclusivity
and very much a global citizen.
Yes. And you know what? The interesting thing as well is that, this is something that they also have in common is around the issue of refugees as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, he notably came out, Macron, to talk or praise Angela Merkel for taking in refugees at the height of the refugee crisis. So, and as we know, Justin is a huge supporter of, supporting refugees and making sure that people are taken care of who are, in need of aid. And notably, obviously, having a very vocal stance against Donald Trump with his immigration ban against Muslims. And
yes.
This is something that they have in common. So these values are, something that they share.
His first trip is, guess what? To see Angela in Berlin on Monday.
Brilliant. We'll watch that space to see how that goes. So, everybody knows I have absolutely no love for Piers Morgan.
What has he done now?
Well, a week ago it was all about Emma Watson and, everything that she did was wrong. Now, he's taken on every celebrity who's ever spoken about mental health. He says that these people like Madonna and Lady Gaga, he thinks they're just talking about mental health just to basically keep themselves in the press, basically, is what he's saying.
Where is he taking that wise knowledge from?
Well, you know what? I'm going to read you some of the tweets.
Oh, let's do that, yeah.
He's saying that genuine mental illness, depression, etc. is a serious issue, but let's stop making everyone feel like a victim. So Tom Chaplin tweeted back asking him, Piers, serious question here. I'm interested to know which celebrities you feel are pulling the victim card for personal gain. He tweeted back, Gaga, Madonna, every Kardashian, Chrissy Teigen, There are plenty more, he says. Celebrities are all doing it now to garner sympathy and enhance their brand. In many cases, it's insincere and I fear massively exaggerated. They're all shameless hustlers who would turn their own deaths into a promotional tool if they weren't dead. I mean, seriously.
I actually don't know what to say, because does he know those people? And then most importantly, the entire point about the mental health campaign is to make everybody aware that it is something actually very common. So it's not a rare phenomenon.
And that people should talk about
Absolutely.
it. So, of course, Prince Harry came out and spoke about, his issues with anxiety, depression, and, how he dealing with the death of his mom and having to gain counselling. Now, for me, I think it's really positive that people talk about mental health issues, especially celebrities. These are people who are seen as immune to things like mental illness, immune to poverty, immune to all the things that normal people like you or I or, you guys out there, it's really, really poor show that someone like Piers Morgan with such a massive audience, is going to criticize a celebrity or anyone for that matter for talking about their personal experience with mental illness, and to try and brand it as anything less than genuine is just totally wrong.
Absolutely. And surely there will always be somebody who uses something, just to gain publicity. But
yeah,
I think,
like Piers Morgan.
Absolutely.
What he's doing now. This is all about publicity.
But the point he's totally missing, that you can't see mental illness.
No,
so
exactly.
how does he know?
Exactly, Piers Morgan. How the hell do you know? So Piers Morgan, here's what I've got to say to you. Mental illness is not something you can see. You can't judge a book by its cover. You can't know what's going on inside. So if someone says they're suffering from mental illness, best to give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't be a dick. The thing is, people who come out and speak about mental illness, I think they're very brave, because as we know, there's a stigmatism attached to it. It's something to be ashamed of. It's something to hide away from. And, a lot of the times it doesn't come across well. Or rather, I should say, people don't react as well to people talking about mental illness. And, I think we have to talk about it. It's important that people feel comfortable. So it really, really upsets me and gets on my nerves when people like Piers Morgan comes out and says the things that they say. It's insensitive. It's really, really poor show. And it flies in the face of people with genuine issues that they're trying to share with others for the benefit of other people who perhaps don't have the strength, the confidence, the support system in place that the people who are able to talk about it, and maybe they've got to the point in their life where they've overcome the issue to an extent or have it under control and can speak about it.
Yeah.
And, for him to criticize in the way that he has done is really careless. Careless, Piers.
Careless indeed. Because I think, I would be very confident to say that I'm sure many people who actually come out, about mental illness are actually not believed by the people who they come out to. And I think with what he's doing, he's just actually making that situation worse. Because he's putting in doubt that people have.
Yes.
an illness where they might need help.
I think we've come to the end of the evening.
All right.
What have we discussed so far?
Well, Theresa May.
Theresa May and her reluctance to have an open discussion.
Yes.
Then it was comparing the two sexiest men in politics, Justin Trudeau.
And Emmanuel Macron.
Exactly. And we gave Piers Morgan a bit of a slap on the wrist for his insensitive comments regarding mental health issues.
Indeed. So there we have it.
There we have it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for watching the third episode of Blank and Dinner. I've had so much fun putting together all those topics for you. If you've got anything that you'd like me to talk about, remember to comment, tell me about it. Catch me on Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you next week.